Welcome to Folktale Tuesdays. Tonight's folktale will be about Robin Hood, called Jolly Robin and the Merchant. Robin Hood and his merry men roamed through greenwood fair. Much the miller's son did proudly claim he'd slain a great white hare. Little John told jolly Robin he'd go out check Watling Street, while Tuck said he'd stay at camp, roast a fish and rest his weary feet. Will Scarlet went to shout about of Arrow at the old oak grove, and Allan a Dale said he'd just play his lute, merrily as he roved. So that just left Jolly Robin to go roaming to Nottingham town, but for that he'd need a clever disguise, or else become a prisoner of the crown. So Robin did go to Watling Street, little Johnny was hoping to meet, but instead he found a rich merchant wearing out his feet. "Halloa!" cried bold Robin, "how doth thou fare, good sir? I did not mean to alarm you, or cause you need to fear, but the reason I did turn town crier is because I am need of new attire to brighten up and cheer." The merry merchant was taken aback and gasped to see such a sight. A dangerous outlaw he'd found himself with, and he turned to take flight. "What dost thou want, thou saucy knave? What wilt thou do with me? I'm not afraid of your cunning ways, so gettest thou gone to thy grave." "Come, come now," quoth Robin, as he took a look in his pouch. "Aha! What is this?" cried bold Robin. "Jewels you dost hide in your crotch." "Very well," the merchant did beseech, "the sheriff I deemed to cheat, as I wandered upon the street." "Verily," cried merry Robin, "an idea hath come to my mind. I say we trade places upon this day. The sheriff I've mind to meet. Yourself a good share be given far more than these jewels you hold. If your garb you will trade places with me, and this rascally sheriff shall I shiver right up a great oak tree." So Robin and the merchant changed garbs right there on the Watling Street, and the merchant was given a worthy sum, and Robin the sheriff went to meet. Robin approached the sheriff's abode. He'd entered as a rich merchant. To the sheriff's wife couldn't refuse the promise of jewels and other treasures untold. As Robin had audience with the sheriff, he had a further idea. He took out a special emerald from out of his secret gold hair, for he had red dye in his beard. "What is that yon jewel?" the wife did cry. Oh John, I must have that, for if I do not, I think I shall die." "Good yeoman," cried the sheriff, "what is that beautiful jewel? My wife doth crave such a beauty. Do tell, wast thou find such a thing? Thou must tell me, or I shall inform the king." Robin thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick. "My dear noble sheriff, in the forest so thick there lies a cave of wonders and jewels beyond even this thing. A trifle is all that I show to the servant of the king." Then the sheriff's wife hearkened to this call. "Oh John, I must have it. I must have it all. If I do not, I think I shall fall." So the sheriff saw no other recourse, and demanded the merchant he'd bring him to the cave where he'd thus find such a pretty old thing. So merry Robin and merchant garb led the sheriff on an ass to the place of the outlaw's pass. "Why dost thou stop?" cried the sheriff. "Don't stop now, you fool. I see no cave right now. Get on with it, for I do drool." Then Robin, deeming the time was right, took off his merchant cap, and gave the sheriff such a sudden sight. "What! Your hair!" cried the sheriff. "Your hair doth shine. It doth shine like the sun, and it matches not your beard, and I'm afeard you've run me into being a slave." Without another word, Robin put his horn to his mouth. 3 mighty blasts he blew, ta-ra, ta-ra, ta-ra. Out came his merry men, and led yon sheriff to Robin's cave. So what proceeded next was a mighty grand old feast, with the sheriff at the head. Many time he'd get up and rave, but Tuck would become very stern and grave, and would put him in his place. "Sit thy rump upon thy stump, or else I'll give you a bump upon the head, and send you straight to bed." After the sheriff had feasted ne'er too well, they decided to finish him off and send him straight to hell. They stripped him all naked and set him on an ass backwards to Nottingham town. He'd ride to the gasp of the ladies fair, and all who would leer at the most comical sight of the year. So that, my friends, is how it was told, of how jolly Robin a jewel he hath sold. That was the ballad of Jolly Robin and the Merchant. Hope you enjoyed Folktale Tuesday. I'll see you this Friday, inshallah.